Today's episode of Conversations with Purrr is proudly brought to you by Tiger Purrr Chai, chef-crafted, made from pure, natural ingredients, designed to activate your power within. If entrepreneurship is in your DNA, you're going to love the entrepreneurial spirit of my next guest. And especially if you're not an entrepreneur, you will be amazed by his story. Those who know me well will know that I'm deeply inspired by the anti-ordinary, the ones who don't run with the crowd, the ones who recognize opportunities when they arise and are not afraid to carve their own lanes and defy the status quo. The ones who have the courage to listen to and follow their hearts so that they can continue to leave their indelible, unique mark in the world, no matter what. Aidan Walsh is just that. Courageous, adventurous, inspiring, entrepreneurial, and most definitely anti-ordinary. So what has Aidan not done? From growing up on his parents' pearl farm in the coastal town of Broome in Western Australia, to working as a labourer and backpacking after graduating from a prestigious private school, to hanging out with the uber rich and uber famous as a yacht broker in Saint-Tropez and Monaco, to owning a nightclub and restaurants on Rodeo Drive, LA, to investing time and money in the medical space, and now to have found his true calling, Aidan the brand. The entrepreneurial story behind Aidan the brand is one that I love because it is truly based on vision, resilience, courage, and a whole lot of grit. Aidan the brand is not only selling stylish travel suitcases, bags, and accessories, it's built on a philosophy of innovation and sits at the intersection of fashion, aesthetic, design, and culture. And ultimately, it sells a lifestyle, Aidan's lifestyle. I'm excited to share this conversation with Purrr, with Aidan Walsh today, so that you too can be inspired by his story. Hello, Aidan.
Pauline,
welcome.
Lovely to see you. Hi, how are you?
Welcome. I'm excellent. Please
the
take
way.
a seat and let me pour
Thank
you
you.
some Tiger Purrr chai.
Ah, amazing. I haven't had any tea or coffee this morning, so it should be a nice
This
little
is
wake.
the best.
Is this one of your specialties?
Yes.
Looks amazing.
Recipe crafted by our tastemakers here at Red Lantern.
Ah, there we go. There we go.
Welcome and cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. That's beautiful.
Yum. What were you going to say?
I was saying to Emma earlier, I didn't realise Red Lantern was obviously affiliated with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Great spot. Great spot.
We've
yeah.
been around for 20 years now.
Yeah, I'm still yet to come here, but I hear good things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. When I think of Aidan the brand, I think of Aidan the man. You
Yeah.
are the brand. You have an extraordinary story.
Thank you.
And I love how anti-ordinary it is. I teach a whole lot of stuff on the soul, the human and the soul. We're here as souls to have a human experience. And when I read about your story, I think of, we all have a soul mission, right? And I think of your soul mission being the soul mission of flow.
Yes.
And the soul mission of exploration.
Yes.
So those who come to this earth with the soul mission of flow have this ability to attract opportunities and people in their orbit with ease. They magnetize. And why is that? Because of their mission of exploration, it is this sense of knowing when an opportunity is there to be grasped
Yes.
by the horns.
Yes.
They recognize the opportunities and they run with it. And that's a very unique trait of those with the soul mission of flow and of exploration.
Yes.
So it all started as your story, when I read it, starts as growing up on your parents' pearl farm.
Yes.
I want to dive into this exploration of flow and mission of exploration to where you are now.
Yeah,
It's an extraordinary story.
it's been
What is
crazy.
it like growing up on a pearl farm?
Growing up on a pearl farm, I mean, it's quite lonely because you're either out at sea or you're on land. And
How much time on land, how much time on sea?
probably 50-50. You would spend I'd say your June through to September, which is your harvest months, where you're harvesting for the pearl. So you're actually producing the pearl, and you've got technicians out on the boat pulling apart pearl shell and finding the lustrous pearl. So you'd probably spend 50-50. And in my early growing up years, it was really interesting because growing up on a boat and then growing up on land, you had two very big different contrasts of life.
Yeah.
You had one where you're a salty sea dog out at sea, braving the torrential downpour of rain and wind and cyclones. And then you've got the land element, which it almost felt like a farm. And growing up on a farm where you had motorbikes, you had horses, you had crocodiles, it was quite an amazing upbringing. And
Siblings?
Siblings, yeah, I've got two sisters.
Okay.
Two sisters. I've got an older and a younger. I'm the middle child. I like to say I'm the favourite child.
Yes.
And I think I've been named the favourite child.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's great. I've got a great relationship with my parents and family, so it's been amazing. And growing up on that pearl farm for me was such a really unique experience because I think with it being such a lonely upbringing, so to speak, because you're away from civilization in some aspect, it really allowed me to nurture relationships when you were back in civilization, so to speak. So we had a pearl farm which was 100 kilometres just outside of Broome, which Broome was a small pearling town, back in the 90s and still is to this day, but it's not like that anymore. It's now that booming tourism town. But growing up there and then going back into town, it honestly felt like you lived on a farm and you were a farmer. Yeah. Because you wouldn't see people for days, and then you go out in a boat and see 30 to 40 to 50 different people on a small boat. Yeah. But then you had the other element where you'd go back to the farm and retreat and just be the family. So it was a really unique upbringing.
So if I were in that position, I'd be in states of awe and wonder constantly. Like, hello, you're farming for pearls.
Yes, yes.
Pearls, what jobs did you have working on the farm?
So in my younger years, growing up, I just enjoyed it. Obviously, I was really young. I was we had it until I was 6, and then we actually moved to Broome full time. Okay. So we basically started a pearl farm called Willie Creek Pearls. It's still around today. The family who own it now, the Banfields, are a lovely family. They've really kept on the tradition of pearl farming and really, I guess, allowed the pearl farm to still be what it is today. They've done a fantastic job. So growing up, 1 to 6, I just really enjoyed it. I was in an awe, so to speak. Fishing and nothing to do with physical work. It was just more, you're growing up, you're a young...
Physical play.
Yeah, you're a toddler, right? And so that was amazing. And then fast forward into when I was 19, I ended up going back there during my Labour days before I went backpacking and ended up working on the pearl farm and was a skipper on the pearl farm. And awesome. I was driving boats and pulling long lines, and you're shucking for pearl shell and cleaning barnacles, and it was quite an itty gritty job, but it was amazing to do that side of it because you realise what the work needs to be done in order to find a lustrous pearl. So it's quite crazy to think what needs to be done to eventually get a small pearl.
I think that's also a very attractive trait for males and females, to not be afraid to get their hands dirty. And learning a skill along the way, and to be using their hands and not being afraid to do the hard work, so to speak.
Definitely.
And so was the pearl farm, had that run in the family? Had that been part of like your parents' parents?
No.
Or
so
how did that come about?
My dad, he moved to Broome, I'd say in the late 70s. So he was there was probably only 3 or 4 white pearl divers at the time because it was all Japanese and Indonesian and Chinese. And he and another, his partner at the time, Larry House, they were, one of 5, and they were still pearl diving wearing the old, divers helmets, and it was brass and copper pearl diving helmets and the suits, and you'd basically hang from a long line and you'd drift along drift along the ocean floor with a pearl lugger, which is like an old sailboat, so to speak, potting along slowly. And you'd basically drift dive. And so my father, he'd hang onto a long line 30 meters below water. Wow. And you'd be drifting along the seafloor trying to find pearl shell, and you pick it up, put it in your bag, and then you'd climb your way up a rope back to the top. So obviously extremely dangerous.
I'm in awe and wonder listening to this now.
Yeah, no,
amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, we've still, and my dad, we still have a lot of antique pearl shell and helmets and boots. Wow. And so really, honestly, the depiction of it, I'd say, would be an astronaut suit. Yeah. But it's underwater.
What does it look like now?
Now it's very antique light now. But now with pearl diving, it's completely changed. You've got, you know, scuba diving equipment, you've got tanks, you've got hooker systems. It's all very much modern day, where he was the one of 5 who was, who basically used the olden day helmets and the suits. And he had that for about 3 years before, I think early 80s is when they changed it. And divers were, you know, wearing scuba gear and tanks and hooker systems. So the danger obviously decreased significantly, because you're now having a breathing apparatus, where before you've just strapped to a helmet, so to speak, with your own oxygen and flow, and you're hanging from a long line, which if you let go, you can't come back up to the surface because it's too heavy. So unfortunately, when you speak to my dad about it, he's got tales of losing friends and drifting along the seafloor, and next minute they're gone because they've let go of the rope, and you just never see them again. So the dangers of pearl farming and pearling back then was just astronomical. But my dad, he actually grew up in Victoria, in Melbourne. So when he was 18, he decided to leave and actually found his way to Broome, and became a pearl diver. And I think during that time, he and his partner Larry, they were, you know, 2 pearl divers, both, I guess, adventurous, courageous, and my dad's a, you know, very eccentric person, but a very much of a motivated go-getter and entrepreneurial spirit. So he went out and started his own pearl farm with his business partner at the time, Larry. And that's what brought us to Willie Creek Pearl Farm, just outside Broome.
Sounds like he too had the sole mission of exploration.
I think he did, well, leaving home from a young age, I think, he did, really,
And learning life's valuable lessons along the way.
Absolutely,
Broome, Western Australia, there's a big Indigenous culture there.
There is,
Did you connected a lot with the Indigenous?
Yeah, we did. And I've got such admiration for the Indigenous culture. It's been embedded in our family for a long time. And I think even myself growing up in Broome, you know, probably at that time in the early 90s, early thousands, there was probably, you know, 5,000 to 10,000 people living there full time. And predominantly a lot of it was Indigenous. And you've got the Kimberleys, and it was such an amazing upbringing and going to school, because, you know, you look at your class and whom was in your class, and, you know, I was probably one of 20 to 30 whites in that class, and the rest was Indigenous. So you learn to adapt and you learn to understand their culture and religion and everything they believe in and their way of living. And although it wasn't as primitive as you know, the Indigenous who live, you know, inland, so to speak, it was still an amazing upbringing for me, because I really got to understand them as a person, and it was a really cool thing to experience, because they're still lifelong friends to this day. As a white guy growing up on a pearl farm, what are some of the values and some of the, because that's a very formative, impressionable age as well. What are some of the values that the Indigenous culture passed on to you that you still hold today? I would definitely say ways of living, for sure. I think you know, a lot of my friends, we would go fishing and diving, and we'd live off the land and the sea. That was a huge upbringing experience for me. You know, every day we'd be out on the boat, or we would be spearing, or we would be mud crabbing, or, you know, we'd be trying to
freedom.
It was really like that. And I think the way of living was just so amazing, because it just goes to show you don't need materialistic things to be happy. And it was one thing I really enjoyed was growing up in that sort of environment. And I'd probably say living off the land and sea was a huge thing I experienced to this day, that I still hold closely and fondly, because that was something I really hold closely.
I have to be near the sea.
I'm me too.
Barefoot and semi-naked most of the time.
I'm the same. I'm a sun boy. I mean, I love the snow. I love snowboarding. I love adventure sports. I'm very much into my sport. I love snowboarding and being in the snow, but I don't necessarily like the cold climates. Love going there for a bit.
All that stuff you got to wear.
I know. It takes up too much of your luggage.
How'd you get the scar?
So I actually, I was in LA and I attempted.
For the listeners, there's a scar on your chin that I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's a scar on my chin. So I actually did a backflip, or attempted to do a backflip off a table, I was trying to impress some girls, and
Were you intoxicated?
I was intoxicated, yes. And I was trying to impress some girls, and unfortunately didn't rotate the full way around.
It wasn't
and woke up in
impressing.
hospital. Yeah, I woke up in hospital.
Oh, man.
Yeah, completely knocked myself out. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, in LA.
No. A good story to tell.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a scar on my right cheek. It's my brother. When he was young, he made a spinning top from a rusty nail.
Oh, yeah?
And we were in a fight, and
Yeah.
he decided to put an exclamation mark on my
Oh, no way. Really?
Pauline.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Hey,
That was
so
it.
the word freedom comes to mind when you're telling me about your childhood and having that lifestyle. How important is freedom to your entrepreneurial journey?
I think it's everything. I think when I started Aidan the brand, it was all based on freedom. And I think leading up to that and even being a yacht broker and
Yeah. How did you go from Perth to being a yacht broker?
So I actually pestered a guy for about 6 months, and and I had never met him. He was an Australian guy, similar upbringing to me. He came from Meekatharra. For those who don't know, it's a country town north of Perth, in Western Australia. Similar thing. All Indigenous are mainly there as well. So he had a lot of experience with Indigenous. So I think that's why we clicked. A lot of our beliefs and a lot of our ideologies and the way we were brought up, and just being a good person and really just having time for people. And that's what he went through as well. And so he was a lot older. He was in his 50s, and I had been mentioned to him through a family friend of ours. Mm-hmm. And the family friend, who's still a great family friend to this day, said, listen, I think you'd be great at yacht broking. Why don't you give this guy, Steve Kidd, a call? Yeah. He lives in Monaco, south of France. I didn't even really know where that was. And at the time, obviously being so young and not really exploring the world as of yet, so to speak. And
it almost didn't matter about the yacht broking.
Yeah,
just tell me
Saint-Tropez, south of France. It sold itself, right? And I ended up getting his number, and I just pestered him for 6 months. And I said, can you please give me a job? Can you please give me a job? And every time he'd be like, no, sorry, I don't want to bring on an intern, or I don't want to bring on someone young. I've done it in the past. I don't want to do it again. And I just kept persevering. And I started, it was in January, and I just kept persevering, and I was still doing my own thing. And then it came to May, and he finally said, listen, all right, if you're serious, meet me in Saint-Tropez on this date at a certain time. And if you're there, I'll know you're serious, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of my friends together, and we decided to go to Saint-Tropez, and we were all sitting at a beach club called Nicky Beach, a really famous beach club in Saint-Tropez. And I get a text from him, and he said, listen, I'm coming there now. I'm with my girlfriend. You'll be able to see us. Just point out where you are. And I sent a text back saying, we're the table in the background. There's about 10 of us boys.
Yep.
And next thing you know, he comes up to the table. Hadn't met him, only spoke. So it's great to put a face to the name, obviously. And he goes, all right, which one's Aidan? And I stood up, and his girlfriend at the time goes, his height. And
Man,
so that's
just the mission of flow that I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I ended up getting height, and I ended up
cool.
living with them.
Yep.
I packed up all my bags, and I literally lived with them, traveled with them everywhere around the world for 4 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Persistency is the new currency.
Yes.
I believe fulfillment is also the new currency, and how determined you are determines your outcome. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
From there, gosh, I mean, I had...
What other flow state were you in to be magnetizing all these opportunities?
It was crazy. I mean, 4 years with them, I traveled to the Bahamas, all over Europe. I spent predominantly my summers in south of France.
As a yacht broker.
Yep. My winters in Florida, down in Miami and the Bahamas. So it was just such a crazy 4 years.
And what do you do as a yacht broker?
Yacht broking.
What do you do?
I guess it's very...
Do you go door knocking?
Yeah.
Do you go yacht knocking? What do you do?
Go dock knocking, so to speak. Dock knocking was what I used to call it.
Knocking,
yeah. So he used to basically drop me at a dock or a yacht club and say, I'll pick you up 8 hours later. And my job was to go ahead and just any person who was on a boat, whether that be the captain, the cleaner, the hostess, the stewardess, or the owner, you'd go and start making conversation, and you'd find out if the owner was wishing to sell their boat, or they're chartering, or they're looking for a bigger boat, or they've got someone else who's looking for a boat. and you start building all these relationships and areas of rapport. And I've always said in my lifetime that rapport for me has been my biggest learning instinct I've learned. I've realized how important that is.
But it comes naturally to you? It's
so,
not
yeah,
hard,
I
or
think
was
so.
it something you had to learn?
I think so. No, I think I've always been charismatic, and I think I've always been a person who's very social. And that's just not on a social scene. It's very just social in my own life.
But you
as well.
also, your when I read your face, it's all very relatable. It's very likable. You're good looking. You've got a very relaxing energy, a very calm and safe energy. And so those skills of dock knocking. Like, what happened? Are you of the mentality? What goes through your brain at that age? Is it like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, win all you guys over. Or is it like, holy shit, it's a skill that I need to learn. Come on, Aidan.
Honestly, I think it was obviously nerve-wracking at first, but I think then the cool thing about it all for me was that a lot of the crew were all young, and they were all from all over the world. So then you're building relationships with deckhands and yacht masters and stewardess and hostess and captains, which eternally, I think, it actually made the whole idea and the ideology of dock knocking so much easier. Yeah. Because you would already have relationships, and then that introduce you to others. So it was almost like a big field, when you think of it, like a big pond of friends. So you'd go to a boat and you'd walk past a boat and you'd see one of your mates because you've met them already. And I think, again, it comes back down to likability. And if you're a likable person and you've created a great level of rapport with that person, they want to help you out. So then the next step for them would be, obviously, they'd go to the owner and say, listen, there's this young buck on the dock who wants to sell you a boat, or he wants to charter your yacht, or he wants to list your yacht, or whatever it may be. And that's how it all started. And then the other side was going to a beach club or a restaurant and doing the same thing, just going around the tables. And again, I think if you like to have fun, and I think anyone who's in that setting in Saint-Tropez is there for a reason. They want to escape, they want to have fun, they want to enjoy it. And same thing, if you're relaxed and you want to have fun and enjoy it, I think the level of business just comes naturally, because you're not necessarily there to sell or charter. I think it's more so to build relationships. And we use those summers to build relationships. And then once the summer was over, you'd probably get a call, most likely get a call saying, listen, I had a great summer with you. Let's list my boat for sale, or let's charter my boat out, or let's find a bigger boat for me. And that's how it all happened. Like, the business element of doing business during those summer months wasn't necessarily transactional. It was more post summer. Yes.
There's the, we can't forget the business element as well. But one thing I always like to say to my students is, to ask the question, who do I need in my orbit to help me to get to where I want to go faster? But then you have to become attractive in order to attract those people, and being attractive in the thoughts you think, the words you speak, how you hold yourself, the frequency that you emit, all those things. And I think the best salespeople are the ones who you don't know are selling shit.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's all about building relationships.
100%.
Do you see life as a big fat pond of friends?
I do, yeah. I've got friends all over the world, which is it's a blessing. I'm so grateful for, I guess, my journey so far and just my relationships in my life, because I think as you get older, you just realize how important relationships are. Yes. And at a young age, people come and go, and that's just life. But the ones who stay, and some of my closest friends to this day are still the friends I went to high school with. And you've got a 15, 20-year relationship with them now, and it's amazing because you don't actually have to speak to them daily or yearly. When you see them maybe 2-3 years later, it's like you've never left, and you pick up that conversation. So I think relationships for me have always been the most important thing, and I understand it so much more now by doing this and going out and living in places like that. Because you realize all over the world you've got friends, which is quite nice. Yes. Always a place to stay.
I think also when it comes to business, especially meeting people globally, I think as a universal rule, good people recognize good people. And so traveling around, and then you got to LA.
Yes.
how then do you magnetize the opportunity to become a nightclub owner in LA and restaurateur?
Yeah, it was a crazy story, actually. It was a crazy story. So what led me to...
We haven't even got to Aidan the brand yet.
I know. It was a crazy story. So basically, I had done 4 years yacht broking, loved it, had an amazing time, but something was missing. There was still that fulfillment that I wanted to chase. And I think I had always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So I wanted to own something and create something. And I think my first endeavor actually was
and not have a boss.
And not have a boss.
I can't have a boss.
It comes back to freedom, right? It comes back to freedom.
I like being told what to do.
Yes.
I just don't like to have a boss.
No, I agree. I'm a big believer in being your own boss.
Yeah.
And although it's daunting and risk taking and sometimes advantageous or disadvantageous, it's one of those things where you really just get to understand who you are as a person as well.
Yep.
It's your best learning curve, I found, to understand what you truly want.
Yeah.
And I think
what you're truly made of.
Truly made of. And I think you're always going to want more in life. It's just common sense and nature and who we are as humans. But I think what I've learned is that it's okay to be to have multiple jobs. I think we've been brought up in a society say, listen, you go down this path, you can have one job and that's it. Where for me, I was, I wanted to be adventurous, and I've had multiple jobs.
Yes.
And I can work on multiple things at the same time. And I think that's what comes back down to entrepreneurial spirit as well, and having that freedom, because I think if you go against what society says and go out and have multiple jobs and at multiple times and do multiple things, you truly find what you want to do.
Yeah. And it's a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun. Yeah, you have more stories to tell. It really is. And I'm a storyteller. I love this sort of stuff.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So tell us about the Rodeo Drive.
Yeah, Rodeo Drive. So bizarre. So we were at a nightclub and there was a bill discrepancy. And the next day,
you were getting ready to do a backflip off the table.
Oh no, that was later on in my piece. That was later on in my piece when I had a bit more courage then. But we had a bill discrepancy, and the next morning I called up the nightclub. It's called Warwick.
As in the bill.
Yeah, the bill and the night. There was a discrepancy. We had been charged something that we believed we didn't have, and I ended up calling them the next morning, and the person who answered was one of the owners. His name's Sylvan Bitton, one of my dear friends, one of my biggest mentors in life today. And he answered and said, I'm sorry to hear about the discrepancy. How can we make it up to you? And I said, no worries. Just would like a refund on what we've been charged because we didn't have it. And he said, listen, we can absolutely do that. And next week when we're open, come through, sit with us for the opening of the night, and before everyone comes through, we'd love to get to know you guys. And that was basically it. The next bottle was on us, so to speak.
Okay.
So we ended up going there, and there was Sylvan Bitton, JT Toriagni, and Dave Jarrett, and they're the owners of a nightclub in LA called Warwick. And it's a really successful nightclub, been around now for 6 years, and it's extremely successful.
Yep.
And I ended up sitting there with them, and we just had such a great time, and we just all connected, and we just...
It was a mission of flow again.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
So good.
It was crazy, and we just had such a good time, and it wasn't until the next day when we spoke again. That night we partied, we had fun. It was great. It wasn't until the next day we spoke, and we decided to all catch up again. And then again, that relationship just kept evolving and evolving until I let them know that I love hospitality. I experienced it really well, obviously in south of France and Miami, where it's just huge hospitality hubs.
Yeah.
And they said, listen, would you consider being a partner with us and coming into a few ventures that we have in mind?
What do you think was, what was it that attracted them about you?
I think my...
Because you don't say that to anyone just on the street. Right?
No, I think I'm a very ambitious person, and I'm a very creative person, and I have a lot of ideas, and I'm a real go-getter.
Yeah.
And I think for them, seeing someone who was so young, I was only 20, I must have been 22 at the time.
Yep.
23 at the time. Yeah, 23. That for them, they almost saw themselves when they started, because they were a bit older. So they had been in the industry for 15 years. So I think for them, like anyone, I'd love to find a mini me in 15 years and mentor. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. So I think they almost saw that in them as well. That
I just imagine the listeners go, I'm your mini me. Yeah. I'm your mini me. Aidan, choose me.
Yeah. No, I would love to. I think I love helping people. It's
Awesome.
just something I've just grown up to do and believe in. And just, kudos to my family for teaching that from such a young age.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they just saw the mini me in them, and that I had been around the world and had these relationships as well. And so from a young age, had already grown that real sense of independency and relationship nurtured and rapport and built all of these really amazing attributes from a young age.
Yeah.
And
I love
think
that
helped.
about your story, that you create your life principles around your life priorities and not the other way around. And it's that the life we live are the lessons that we teach. And so you've created this life where your businesses are now created around your life.
It is, yeah.
And now you have this awesome brand, which I think is so hot, by the way.
Thank you.
Aidan the brand.
Aidan the brand. Yeah.
How
it was unintentional to be
did that
named.
come about?
I know. It was unintentional to call it Aidan at first.
Yeah.
But again, I think it just came back down to who I am.
Yes.
And
for the listeners, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Aidan the brand, it's a suitcase, luggage and accessories brand.
Yep.
It encompasses the design nuances of New York with an Australian sense of adventure.
Awesome.
We basically sell a lifestyle. And I think the lifestyle element for me was probably the main thing I wanted to focus on. I'd like to say we're more of a lifestyle brand than travel brand, specifically because when you look at our overall design and our aesthetic and inspiration and culture and organizations we support, it all evolves around lifestyle. And for me, when I started it, I wanted to resemble my lifestyle.
Yep.
And I wanted to put that onto paper, and then I wanted to put that onto a manufacturing site.
I mean, the entrepreneurial journey is about solving a problem, finding a solution to the problem. What was the problem? What was the problem that you wanted to solve with Aidan the brand?
Yeah, I think reinventing the luggage space and travel space. I think in the past it's always been either very corporate or very chic. Yeah. And there wasn't something in the middle where you could find something that was durable, aesthetically pleasing. It intersected fashion design and culture. Yep. And ultimately sold that lifestyle, as you mentioned.
Aidan the brand, Aidan the man.
Yes, exactly right. It was something that I could take anywhere, be in any room. It wasn't something where I'd feel, you feel confident when using it. You feel sexy. I like to say it's a flirty piece of luggage. Yeah. Because it really is I think personally,
sexy.
It's a sexy piece of luggage. Yeah. And I think that was missing in the travel space.
Yep.
I think there was a lot of corporate side of things. There was a lot of chic side of things, but there was no one really pushing that boundary in regards to, I guess, fashion and design.
Yeah.
Unless it was a really high-end brand, which you're having to spend thousands of dollars to attain.
Yes.
Where in that middle to high-end class, there wasn't really anyone doing it at an affordable price, from my understanding.
Yes.
So when I decided to go out and do it, that was my sole focus, was to bring an affordable piece of luggage, but make it sexy and pleasing to the consumer.
I think it's tremendous value, considering how much, I do a lot of traveling as well, and I buy durable, lightweight, functional, but it's not sexy.
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like
almost looks like a lunchbox. Yeah.
So what are there's nuts and bolts behind this? There's nuts and bolts.
It's crazy.
How do you create your own?
Yeah, it was crazy.
What do you do? I have an idea.
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to make this happen?
Who
do I need in my orbit to help me to get to where I want to go faster?
It was a light bulb moment. It was a light bulb moment. I just finished a season in New York where we opened a really cool membership club and nightclub, not nightclub, but it was a lounge, so to speak, in New York City. And I did that with
What's that called?
So that was called the Century NYC. Okay. And I did that with a really good school friend of mine called Barry Dry. I'm actually going to his wedding in Cape Town in March as well, which will be exciting. So really happy for he and his fiancée Lauren. But I really, after that moment of living in New York, and again, so much inspiration from living in New York.
Yeah.
And again, like Barry was like a mentor to me as well. So having someone like him and seeing him go out and do his own thing, and he's created so many really amazing restaurants and cafes in his own brand, that was another inspiration for me to go out and create my own thing.
Yeah.
So I was in New York and I was around design and art and architecture and culture and religion and, you know, you name it. New York is that, you're inspired, right? And you're seeing helicopters fly over your head, landing on buildings that belong to, you know, these wealthy businessmen, and it was surreal. And it almost felt like when I was living in the south of France and Miami, you're seeing this consistently and you realize that, okay, if someone can attain this, I can attain this.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like, it was almost like the light bulb moment. I'd always wanted to go into fashion and I had always been creative on that mindset, but I just didn't want to go into a saturated market.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something where I could travel the world whilst doing it. And I was sitting in Soho House one day and I kept seeing all these cool, funky people coming in, and that's what Soho House was originally built on. It was for the creatives.
Yeah.
And so I got my membership there and I was sitting there watching all these cool, funky people come in with their own style and fashion and you know, luggage. And I was like, how can I attack this demographic, so to speak, or this era of, you know, the creativity and the eccentrics and the go-getters and people who I would say who are tastemakers. Yes. I like to say our luggage is for the tastemaker.
Awesome.
Someone who intersects all these different ideologies and
has good taste.
And has good taste, essentially. Yeah, exactly. And I then was on a plane back to Australia, and I was sitting there, and you know, it's a long 14-hour flight, and I kept seeing the same luggage being wheeled past me.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what, like, we've got to change this. I mean, there's some beautiful brands out there, not taking away from anyone, beautiful brands out there. But for myself personally, I just couldn't find a brand that I would want to use or travel with consistently to all areas of life, whether that's to a meeting, whether that's on a holiday, to a festival, camping, hiking, whatever that may be. And so I started researching on the plane then and there with the Wi-Fi about the luggage space, and just realized how much people travel and how much exponential growth the luggage space was growing every year.
Yeah.
And I ended up, through my research, found out that a lot of these luggage brands were being built in China and Indonesia and Vietnam and Japan. So I researched that for the summer whilst I was in Perth, seeing my family over the summer. And I just decided one day to book a ticket to Asia. Yep. I found a list of factories I wanted to go to. Yeah, and cool. I went out there and just went, you know, I met a buddy of mine called Nico. He's got an amazing handbag brand in London. And he was another mentor, great friend of mine. Yeah. A huge inspiration to me, and his name, Nico Dwyer. And
there's a lot of factories there. How many factories did you visit?
I went through 33.
Okay.
33 sampling factories.
Yeah, right.
I probably saw 70 odd, but I sampled with 33 different factories, and that was a mix between Indonesia, Taiwan, Japan, and China. Yeah. And so I went to all these different places for 6 months of the year. I had a translator with me because when you're in the deep mountains of China, you know, English is quite hard to come across. Same with Vietnam. So I went there and we started sampling with 33 different factories. And every time you're doing that, it's another cost. It's another cost. It's another cost. And you're just watching this never ending, I should say, build up of financials coming through.
You didn't have an investor at the time?
No, it was all self-funded.
I respect that.
Yeah, all self-funded. All self-funded. And I got to the stage of, obviously, when you're trying to design something, you're working with factories and you're working with developers and 3D renderers and graphic design artists to come across.
Not to mention all the components that go into.
Crazy, it's crazy. And that's the thing, right? When you're going through the factories, you're having to find factories that make the wheels, factories that make handles, and then bring it all into one assembly line factory. Yeah. So it's one thing going out and finding a supply chain, but there's another thing finding a manufacturing chain. Yeah. And so I spent 6 months doing that, and then finally found a factory that could do it all. And although I wasn't happy with the sample, I just knew that this factory was built for greatness. If I could educate on my design capabilities, I know on the manufacturing side that they could do it.
Awesome.
And so I just started working on the design, and I did all the design myself, and ended up going back to New York, went and filed patents and trademarks for my design, so it's all patent approved.
Man, all of this that's not an easy feat.
No.
Trademarking, patent.
No, it's a long process. 18 month process.
And an expensive one.
Expensive. But I thought, you know what, if I've gone out and spent all this money so far, I may as well keep spending to protect my design.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can
get
get huge inspiration from other brands and other walks of life. But I think that design and what you stand by and what you want to be recognized as your identifier, I think you have to protect.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I learned in business is just the protection, because having IP is a very valuable piece of thing to have.
I think a great differentiator with your brand is obviously for me your personal story and you yourself. As far as functionality, as far as style, what sets your brand apart?
For us, it was more so the design and the aesthetic side. However, on the functionality side, we pulled different materials from all over the world, i.e. the wheels are from Japan, the leather's from Italy, the shells from Germany.
Amazing.
The locks are from America, the aluminium's from China. So pulling all of these parts from around the world.
Yeah, so it's not all made in China.
No, it's all, and that's, our assembly lines
Yeah.
are obviously China and soon to be Japan. So we've broken into the Japanese market, which amazing. I love the Japanese culture, and the craftsmanship the Japanese have is just extraordinary. And I was fortunate enough, coming back again to your Pearl Farm days, all of our technicians were Japanese, and you just realize how skilled the Japanese are at anything they do. So craftsmanship for me was huge. So pulling parts from all over the world and having one assembly line was something that was different from what I understood on the educational piece and research and development. We've got a braking system. So instead of your suitcase running away from you or being wheeled away from you when you, especially here in Sydney, obviously a really hilly place, especially where we live, obviously on the coast, you press a button and it locks your wheels.
Very good.
So therefore your suitcase doesn't roll away from you. So that was a differentiation for us, because there's only one other Japanese brand who has something similar. But again, we patented the way that functionality works and the design element. Also for us, the biggest thing was the interior compression system. So finding an interior functionality and design that compresses down your clothes, because we all know, everyone likes to pack more.
I need that.
More on a voluminous side. So it pushes that down.
Awesome.
And then just the overall design, I think for us was the biggest thing. But again, it comes back down to lifestyle. I think the differentiation for us was selling a lifestyle and having a case that can go anywhere. And cool. When we're doing the testing days, we'd put it in the water and just let it float out to sea. To test watertight compartment, and then we'd put it in the snow and bury it to test how it goes in colder temperatures, and throwing it off buildings in car parks with no one around, obviously, but to test the durability of it and really testing the durability and the quality control through just everyday use and real life use, rather than putting it in a simulator.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge you for that,
Thank you.
For making something invisible visible,
it's been cool.
All the very, very best with it. I look forward to following this journey, because you've only just got started, right?
Only just got started. We launched in 2022, and we just had such an amazing year. We really have. Good. It's been I'm so excited for 2023 and the years beyond that, because I think what we've created is a longevity piece.
Yeah.
And I think the team we've created and the relationships we've built, and we've only just started now going into the retail space, where before it was all direct to consumer, which was great for us because you were learning more and more about your luggage and real life reviews. Yeah. From actual travelers. So that's been great. So our version 2 of all of our luggage will come out in April and May.
Amazing.
And that's all the aluminium series, which looks phenomenal. So I'm really excited to showcase that to the world as well. So it's been a journey.
On a personal level, because of my other projects, I've been deeply inspired by your journey, by your entrepreneurial journey, and I've learned so much in this conversation today. I want to ask you 2 last questions.
Yeah.
What is something that people usually misunderstand about Aidan Walsh?
Misunderstand? I think people think my life's one big holiday. I think that probably would be the biggest misunderstanding. Yep. I think so, right? I think so, and that I don't work. And I think because I've also, as much as I'm very out there and social and charismatic and I do all these things, I'm actually very private as well. Yeah. So a lot of the things I do, I think people sometimes like to ruin beautiful things. Yeah. And so a lot of things I do it internally and I do it privately. Aidan the brand for me, obviously, I share that to the world because that's who I am, and I constantly travel and I actually use it. Where my other side of things, the hospitality side and other ventures I'm involved in on a day-to-day and that I work for, I don't share with anyone because it's my own thing. And sometimes, like I said, people like to ruin beautiful things. So I think the misunderstanding is that, I don't work on that. I'm on one continuous holiday, but I think being an entrepreneur, you're consistently working. No matter what, if you're in a room, you're working that room, or if you're at home at night just watching a movie, you're not switching off. And that's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing is to switch off. And I've obviously learned over time to meditate and switch off. But when you have an idea and it's a light bulb moment, you write it down or you open up your laptop. So I think that's probably the biggest. And
research luggage on the plane.
Little things like that. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the misunderstanding of that it's one big holiday where it's not. I think I've always been the biggest advocate to say that my biggest educational experience has been traveling. So I travel for that reason, and I travel we've got one life. Go and enjoy it.
And I want to congratulate you and acknowledging you on consistently creating a life by design.
Thank you.
Because so many of us live a life by default.
Yeah, we do.
Right, and I think we owe it to life.
Yeah, we do.
We owe it to life by designing it. I have a gift for you because you've come all this way, and
Thank
this is a new product that we've created as well.
Something deadly stirs on the tiger purrs. I love that. Is that your slogan?
Yes.
I love that.
Anti-ordinary chai for anti-ordinary people.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you. That's
You're welcome.
Amazing. I love chai.
One last question. That's really cool.
I love it.
One last question, Aidan.
Thank you. Yes.
What makes Aidan Walsh purr?
What makes me purr? I would say just being a nice person. I think that makes me purr. I think giving back to those in need or where you can, and being a nice person and giving time to people and understanding people and just being there and being a good person. I think that's what makes me purr. It really does, because like I said, relationships have been the number one thing I've learned in life. Materialistic things, money and all that comes and goes. But I think relationships in your life have been the biggest thing I've learned. And for me, that makes me purr, because if I can change someone's life or they can change mine, that's the biggest thing I've learned. And I'm truly humbled by my experience and journey so far.
Amazing. Love begets love. Kindness begets kindness.
Yes.
And congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Amazing.
Cool. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Cool.